writing jingles in my head for the
For this?
but it's just stupid stuff.
Well, let's hear one.
I don't have it. It was all in
Oh,
my head.
yeah. All right. Yeah, I don't have a jingle at all. But I believe we're live. It says we're streaming
All
for
right.
what is today? November 21st, week 12 preview, week 11 reaction, week 12 preview episode of
Uh-huh.
Downs Teas and Tangents. Teas and
T-
Tangents
yes.
with Harland, the other voice,
Yes.
and
Yes.
Derek, me.
And Derek.
Right.
TDs with H&D. Also.
Well, we have to recap and
Yes. And we
know
know
how
who
we
scored more.
recap. We know what the rules are. Whoever's team scored the most, we'll talk about them first.
So, all right. So I did not get to watch the game
Mm-hmm.
because I was at a game,
Oh,
which I
yes.
will tell you straight up and down, much better experience to be at home to watch a game. No
Mm-hmm.
matter where your seats are, just which I had the best seats I've ever had at a football game ever. But I will tell you, it doesn't matter because I found myself missing plays on the field, watching my phone to see what was going on in sports. Because for whatever reason, there's no ticker anywhere in the stadium that tells you what the upcoming scores are. There's nothing. There's nothing to see what the scores are. Right. But I do remember at one point in the game, I think the Bears had already lost, and I knew they had 27 points. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But the Giants only had 34, 24. The Giants had 24 points, and Washington had the ball. I thought the Giants were going to stop them. We were going to win 24-19. And I was going to have to hear Derek because I wanted to hear Derek go first to rant about the Bears. And then the Giants do a pick six, gives them 31 points. So now I get the privilege of going first.
Yes.
Like I said, I didn't get to watch the game, but I watched the ticker and watched that ball go flying over the thing. That's the way I watched the game. And yeah, it's like I thought. We stink, but no matter how bad we stink, we will always beat the Commanders. Always.
I don't even know what to say about the Commanders because they've won 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
They've lost to both the Giants and the Bears in
Yes,
both in embarrassing fashions.
correct.
Embarrassing fashions.
But they're
They've played the Eagles close
twice.
twice. Should have
One went
beat.
to overtime.
Like, what is the deal? Who have they beat? They have 4
The
wins:
Jets beat the
Arizona, Denver, Atlanta, Patriots.
Patriots. Okay, they haven't played the Jets yet. Okay,
So the Patriots, everyone's beating.
they stink.
Atlanta is
Not
like a
very
mixed
good.
bag, but they played Denver week 2, which they
Caught
won
them early.
35-33, and then they beat the Cardinals week 1.
Yep. Sam
So
Howell still a pretty good fantasy quarterback. Like I think he's
yeah,
number one he was or something like that.
you know how many passing yards he has after 11 weeks?
Is it close to 3,000?
3,038.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Come
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
and 18
I
touchdowns. He's
and I
been
wouldn't
good.
and I wouldn't pick any one of their wide receivers even in fantasy because I don't know who he's just thrown into all of them.
Yeah, like it can't be Terry McLaurin because I don't
Mm-mm.
hear his name mentioned at all ever.
Curtis
It's
Samuels.
the Jahan Dotson. Terry McLaurin's the
No.
number 1 receiver,
Mm-hmm. But
but
he
he's only
throws
got
it
a
to
fifth of the passing yards. You
he
would
throws
think
it to
that with
Logan
3,000,
Thomas,
he'd be closer to 1,000.
the tight end Logan Thomas.
Hmm.
He's got I think Curtis Samuel on that team. They just
Hmm.
all get the ball. There's no one number, even though McLaren's the number one, he's just passing the ball to everybody. And no one person is dominating on that team. And they have Brian Robinson who catches out the backfield occasionally.
Brian Robinson had a
Um,
very good season.
I like Brian Robinson.
He's
I like him.
a good ball
Um,
player.
but the Giants went in there, into Washington
Hmm.
and proceeded to first start the quarter off by getting Tommy DeVito sacked 5 times in the quarter.
Oh, that's a tough way to start.
To start. He finished with 8 sacks in the half and 9 altogether. Um, but this whole time, the Giants defense were stopping them. Giants would go 3-and-out, punt the ball off, and get the ball back somehow. If it was a fumble on special teams, a fumble by a running back, wide receiver, didn't make a difference. They would get. Well, I don't think Brian Robinson didn't fumble. I think the wide receiver fumble did. There was also 3 interceptions in that game, but yeah, the defense played well, and Tommy DeVito did enough to win the game. I think they rested heavily on Saquon, even though the first half he couldn't run for anything. The lanes were not there, but which is kind of his thing. I've seen games watching where he does not look really good in the first half, and then comes out the gate and runs 1 for 30 and then runs 1 for 15. And then all of a sudden, now you can't stop him. I think they said like maybe -3 yards or something very close to that. It was like 6 rushes for like minuscule yardage. He finished with 14 for 83. So the second half, he was just taking your chunk yards. And then he had 2 touchdowns. He played an all-around game, 140 yards all-purpose with 2 TDs. And Tommy DeVito made really good passes. Didn't turn the ball over. Took sacks when he had to take sacks. Sometimes you just got to take a sack. But he did what he had to do for the Giants to win the game. But like I said, I honestly had never had fear because we always beat the Washington Commanders. Just what it is. And we'll go out next week and we'll probably beat the Patriots. I saw something on the meme that said nobody was happier for the Giants to beat the Washington Commanders more than Patriots fans. So, because they need that pick. But yeah, Giants played a good game. I understand. I'm not one of those people that they believe that you should tank for at any purpose, any reason. I don't know. I don't like losing on purpose. I don't like, especially for a player that may or may not be good. Nah, I'd rather people lose their jobs when teams tank. Like it's never good, and it's not, no fan wants to go to a game knowing that their team is playing for last place. So I'm just not a fan of it.
Well, no player, no coach are going out there and tanking. Never happens. Case in point, 18 last year when the Texans snatched the number 2 pick out of the clutches of the number 1 pick by Lovie Smith and gang going out there and getting a last-second pick. The Colts, right, to get their 3rd win of the season.
Lose the number 1 draft pick.
Well, speaking of number 1 draft picks, Chicago Bears took the field. So here was my Sunday. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now you know where I stood on this. I said the Bears were going to win, and you said why? And
5 straight.
I just think they're going to win. They're just one of those things. Like the Lions are very good, but they're going up against a team that is seen as inferior. Right? The Bears' defense over the last 4 weeks had been trending upwards with almost a respectable EPA, keeping the running. They're like one of the number 1 running defenses, and their pass defense had been ticking up. Right, they got some takeaways. Montez Sweat has changed the defensive line quite a bit, getting pressure. It's like it's going to happen. Justin Fields is coming back after 4 weeks off of dislocated thumb. It's just one of those games. It feels like things are going to click. And did they click? Because
they did.
Before we even get into the game, I put on my Bears socks, put on my Bears sweatshirt, put on my Bears hat, and then I got in the car and I had to drive 2 hours, starting at noon, starting at kickoff, down to my folks' house for an early Thanksgiving meal. So it was actually about a 2.5 hour drive because we had to stop and pick up some stuff along. So we're going, listening, and all I'm doing is driving and pumping my fist. Yes. Yes. It's like Jared Goff picked off again. They're like three interceptions, a fumble, forced fumble, and a kickoff. Justin Fields is hitting everything, not getting sacked, hitting receivers. They're running the ball decently. It's like, all right. And then the end of the first half, the Lions march down, and Jared Goff has a drive. I think it made it like 10-7 or 10-10 or something like that at the half. Like, okay, that's fine. But, I mean, it was good. They were down 14. Bears were down 14-10 at the half. But then the third quarter happens. The Bears come out, and they're just all over the place. They're scoring. I'm like, nice. And then the fourth quarter happens. They come out, and they're scoring. Well, they're not scoring. They're getting the ball, and they're getting down to 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1. And instead of 4th and 1 deep in the red zone, instead of going for it, kicking field goals. Right? It happens. They get the points, fine. At one point, they were up 2 scores, but not 2 full touchdowns.
Nope.
They were
10 points. Was it 13? Okay.
13 points. So what happens is, in typical Matt Eberflus-led Chicago Bears fashion, they play scared. They coach scared. They coach to not win. They coach to not lose. They don't coach to win. They coach to not lose. And any time in the history of any sport, the moment, it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be football, it's any sport. The moment you start to play to not lose, you are almost guaranteed to lose. It's just like the way of the world, right? You have a 40-point lead in basketball. Well, that's a tough example. But that might be the one right there. You put in your bench and you let them go with 40-point lead because the other team is going to be like, well, we can't come back from 40 points. They pull their bench, but like football's different. It's just a weird sport. But they played. I saw things today that really made my blood boil. One of them was on the final 2 drives that Detroit, with under 4 minutes, Detroit ran the field twice to take. Or 2 touchdowns to win the game.
Yep.
Montez Sweat, the big pass rusher that they just paid all this money for.
Don't tell me he's dropping back in coverage.
Was not even on the field. They were rotating him out to save legs or whatever because they're working on you paid this man all sorts of money, and he is a monstrous presence. And there is no more important time for him to be on the field than right now. Don't rotate him out.
Correct.
In the offseason, the Bears filling the gap of letting their not previously All-Pro, but All-Pro once he was traded, middle linebacker, because when he was on the Bears, he was just Roquan Smith. But as soon as he went to the Baltimore Ravens, the moment he touched down in Baltimore, he was Pro Bowl, All-Pro linebacker, Roquan Smith. To fill that hole, they signed T.J. Edwards, who's been Pro Bowl caliber all season. And then they signed Tremaine Edmonds, who's taken a little bit of time to get into it, but I think he's being asked to do a role that he's not used to. It's fine. He's getting in his groove. Tall, long defender, got like that 8-foot wingspan or whatever, right? Covers a lot of the middle of the field. Guess who else wasn't on the field for large stretches of those final 2 drives? Your Mike linebacker that I can understand the linemen, right? You want to rotate the linemen because those motherfuckers are getting beat up every snap. Like, okay, you got to keep them fresh. The linebacker position, not so much. Every position's physical, but you're not hand on the ground, smashing up against a lineman where the advantage of rotating out fresh legs against a lineman is there. I almost get it. But this guy isn't on the field either. Why isn't he on the field? This has happened in the past. Now, in the catastrophic collapse that they had earlier in the season to the Denver Broncos, who wasn't on the field when they needed to score? DJ Moore was rotated out. Like, why are we doing this? What are we doing, Chicago Bears? This is, without a doubt, the worst coaching staff in the NFL. Well, because McDaniels got fired. Remember when we were discussing after what's his face got forced out of Washington, who was the worst owner? Who's the worst owner in sports now? It immediately became Irsay, right? Or in the NFL, right? Yep. Still the case. Same thing. Josh McDaniels got fired. Who's the worst? Who's the worst head coach in football? It's got to be Matt Eberflus. It's got to be Matt Eberflus. The man who's
Staley,
worse?
Staley for the Chargers at this point in time because he's got a squad.
I'd take him over Eberflus.
Oh, I'd take him. I'd definitely take him.
I'd take him over Eberflus.
You're right. If that's what we're doing,
that is the Bears. The Bears win streak. The Bears win streak where I wanted them to win. I wanted them to win. I wanted them to be competitive. I wanted to be like, ooh, the Bears are looking good. Ooh, look at all these things coming together. Ooh, they're figuring it out. And if that meant that Eberflus stayed for another year, that means that whatever he's doing clicked and it worked and it figured it out.
Starting to work.
And then I'm fine with that because in the back pocket of the Bears is that juicy number one pick that's coming from the Panthers, right? Yeah. So now it's not like, oh, when you win, you're hurting yourself. No, when you win, you're
preparing for the future.
You're preparing for the future, and you got the number one pick sitting there waiting for you, which you can trade back with the Patriots and get their number one pick for the next 2 years because they're going to suck for I don't care who they drafted a quarterback.
That is correct.
Now, I just they should have been fired after the Denver game. They weren't. They should have been fired. They didn't get fired after the mini bye because they beat the Panthers, right? Which if they would have lost the Panthers, they should have been fired. Now they have like another kind of mini bye because they played Monday night. They could have been fired today. I woke up this morning,
checking the phone,
like Christmas morning. I ran out to the tree, started swiping down, hit that refresh, hit refresh. Nothing ever happened. Matt Canada got fired.
Correct thing to do.
I mean, a year and a half too late. He might have only been there a year and a half. I don't know how long he's been on the Pittsburgh.
I swear I only knew his name because of all the hate he gets online. I was like, like, why does everyone hate him? I was like, oh, okay, he's that guy. That's him.
Yeah. So
yeah. I was like, I thought y'all had it. I was like, oh my God, he was right. His team's going on this win streak. It starts now. I never saw it coming. I looked at my phone. Y'all were up like 10 points with like 4 minutes to go in the game. I said, there's no way. There's no way they lose this game.
So I forgot to tell you the part of this story. So I'm in the car the whole way, right? Pumping my fist, listening to it. Bears touchdown. I'm just like, yes. We get to my dad's house. There's 5 minutes left in the game.
Okay.
Go inside. It's on the TV. Now, my dad's got a really weird setup. He built this brand new fancy house about 15 years ago. But the living room layout sucks. So there's like a fireplace, and next to the fireplace, between the fireplace and like the west wall of the house, is an alcove large enough to fit maybe a 45-inch television screen, but it's recessed. It's recessed into the wall. It's not on the wall. It's a flat screen, not on the wall. It's like in the wall, kind of like behind the fireplace. Okay, fine. He had a bunch of people coming over, so they extended the dining room table, which meant they had to move the recliner. So the recliner is pulled over. So the TV is recessed into the alcove. The recliner is blocking the right 40% of the TV screen. I'm like, what are we doing? My dad is sitting on like a wooden chair. It's not even sitting on the couch. He's sitting on a chair off to the left in a way in which he's the only human being that can watch TV. So I'm like, okay. So I climb up the stairs about 6 steps so I could see over his head through the little gap that blocks most of the score bug. So I don't know how much time's left. I don't know what the play clock is. I don't know anything. I can just see like the middle chunk of the screen. 4 minutes left. And they're winning. And then, as soon as I get visuals on the game, it collapses and falls apart. Now, as I'm watching this, I get very into the games. I'm amongst my grandmother and stuff, so I keep my frustrations inside.
Mm-hmm.
But I have nowhere to sit. I'm halfway staying on the stairs. I can only see like 30% TV screen. Then my stepmother goes, "Well, why don't you sit on the couch, Derek?" I'm like, I can't see the TV if I'm sitting on the couch. While she's sitting in the chair that's blocking the right 40%. The Bears lose. my wife goes, "Did you see their new bedroom set?" I go, "I do not care," and I walk out the front door. And I just stand outside in the cold for a little while in my Bears socks, in my Bears hoodie, because I was so sure that the Bears were going to win the game. That before the game even kicked off, I was going where I couldn't change my clothes to be amongst family to show that I had faith in the Bears prior to kickoff, and then I was rewarded with that. And then, without fail, everyone that came after the final whistle of that game looked at me and goes, "What happened to them today?" I'm like, you know what happened to them. You don't need to mention it. Okay?
Oh, oh my God. That sums up being a fan of a team that is not very good. Like,
God, I hate it so much.
You going outside upset.
I had to, because if I were at home, I would have yelled at the TV for about 4 minutes. But I'm not at home. I got to keep myself in check. I can't be a maniac in mixed company. Even though it's family, I'm not gonna scream at the TV and then everyone's like, "Is Derek okay?" You know, like, I don't need that, right? I'm fine. I'm just watching my stupid goddamn team lose again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Aren't you glad we have this? We could just sit there and vent. This is very therapeutic. I'm telling you, like, now, since we started this, losing isn't that bad for me as much. I lose. I know one of us is gonna, because both our teams stink. So chances of us getting a win on both weeks, slim to none.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it for us to get a Giants and a Bears win the same week, it's like that scene in Ted Lasso where he throws the 3 bullseyes. Well,
yes,
like you need that to happen. It's just not going to happen. It only happens in TV.
So because of that, I'm like, oh man, if the Giants lose, at least I get to vent. I get to vent on Tuesday.
And if it's bad, it can only be just a little worse than the Bears losing. So
yeah. Well, what's crazy is we've done it 3 weeks. We've had 2 times we've done we've picked it. So first week we both lose. Second week you win, I lose. Mm-hmm. Third week I win, you lose.
Yep.
We've done all the options except for we both get a win, and I don't see it happening.
I don't see it happening either. I guess the other big game that we need to talk about. Well, you went to the stinking Texans-Cardinals game.
I did go to the
Texans-Cardinals. So talk on C.J. Stroud, and is he as awesome in person as he is on highlights?
He makes it look easy.
Yeah, he does.
He makes it look effortless. He threw that pass to I think it was Dell, and he was wide open, and it was a perfect pass. I mean, oh my God, the guy was wide open, but the pass was excellent, and he made passes like all the time. What's crazy is one of the friends that I went to that game with, me and him were playing against each other in fantasy football, and he had C.J. Stroud. Right, so I'm watching C.J. Stroud torch my fantasy football team.
You got those 3 picks, though.
The 3 picks helped me.
Yes,
because we play bonus points in that league where over 300 yards get you an extra like 5 points or something like that. He had 250 and a half, so that was assured that was gonna happen. But that Texans team will be good. I don't know how good. They will be good for the next 3 or 4 years. Like we talked about it earlier. I was saying how they were calling names out in the stadium, and every time they called the name, I was like, he was picked number 2. He was picked in the top 10, like Will Anderson. What is it? Singletary. Is that Singletary Jr. or Stingley Jr.? I forget what it is.
You got Stingley and you got Singletary. They're both on the same team. Stingley's a top 10 cornerback pick, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So Stingley was the pick in the 2021 draft because it was Stingley went after Surtain, I think. But before whoever
was it Surtain? No. He went last year when Sauce Gardner came out.
Oh, okay. So Stingley was last year.
Yeah,
So
their
who did they
DB. Yep.
take 3 years ago then? Because there's the 2021 draft. Because, well, maybe they were good the year before. Is that the last year Watson played before?
20. And I'm not sure. Let me see. I'm
I
looking
don't
in
know.
that
I don't
draft.
remember. But yeah, they got Stingley. They got, well, Singletary. Damian Pierce is hurt.
Damian Pierce is hurt, but doesn't matter because their running
Singletary.
backs. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's good.
You got,
They did. Yeah, the 2021 pick, they did not have a draft pick. I think that's because when they got Larry Tunsil, if I'm not mistaken, they traded for
oh, yeah,
him.
the Laramie Tunsil. Yeah, sure. So they got
Larry Tunsil,
Tunsil. Yeah.
who is also great.
It was also great. There's one guy that I really like on their team, and I think he's their safety,
Good.
Jalen Petrie.
Mm-hmm.
I like him. They have John Mechie the third, who I don't know if he's back because he was drafted last year, but he had leukemia, got diagnosed with leukemia, I think. And so he's coming back from that. He was the receiver from, I can't remember. Yeah, they got lots of
talent.
being bad talent, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just happens. And when you get that many picks in the top 100, some are going to hit, right? You just have to, unless you're just a terrible GM, which is always possible too, which explains like other teams, right?
Other teams, like I would say, you know what? I'm not going to make fun of the Panthers because they had the number one pick. They've had really good draft picks. It's what they do with their draft picks that they giving them away to teams or trading them because either the team is not performing at to the level that they need to, like DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey.
MC.
And,
yeah.
You look at they drafted, I believe, Bradbury, who's now was with the Giants, now with the Eagles. They just have talent everywhere else. Deontay Foreman. And that to me, that's one of the good ones, but they've had some pretty good picks. Now they haven't been able to pick anyone on the offensive line. They had, was it Nzulu? I forget. I don't know.
I don't even know.
Yeah, but one of their left tackles, no, Ikonu. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ikonu. He's doing very good for them. Not doing very good for them. So yeah, they got to work on this stuff.
I would argue the Jaguars are the same way, except they happen to get everyone's favorite beautiful horseman for the number one pick, and he's been good.
They pick pretty good on defense. They have really good defensive players on that team.
Well, 2 years ago, remember they had the number one pick for the second consecutive year, and instead of taking the consensus number one pick of Aiden Hutchinson, who has been lights out for the Lions for 2 years, they took, what is his name? I don't even know if he starts for him at all. The prospect, the project. He's got great physical traits.
No, I'm looking at the 22 draft pick that they had. The Detroit Lions picked up. Oh, you're right. There he goes. Number one. Number one, they had Trayvon Walker.
Trayvon Walker, right?
Trayvon Walker.
So
yes.
they drafted him instead of Hutch, who was like all-world defensive end. Like they outthought themselves on that one.
Mm-hmm.
When they drafted T-Law, they drafted him, and they drafted ETN in the first round. ETN's fine.
He's getting better,
but he's not like. Is he a world beater first round?
No.
Running back talent? No, because I'm sure there were other running backs in that draft taken later than him that are just as effective, if not more. Right? None of their wide receivers are homegrown talent. Evan Ingram, maybe, but the Calvin Ridley.
He's not. No, he's a giant. Evan Ingram was drafted by the Giants.
So Evan Ingram, Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk. None of those guys.
Big trade, Christian Kirk. Ugh. The fact that they spent what they spent for him was
all
crazy.
that money on Christian Kirk. Remember, because he was the one that started the whole wide receiver pay explosion.
The big pay. Yep.
Everybody's like,
if he's getting that
800 yards receiving, that gets you 19 a year. Okay. I think the Jaguars are the same way. I just think having having a good to very good quarterback just
A really good
changes.
coach. I think their coach is good too. I like Doug
I know you do. I think he's fine. I don't know. I
because
and
I think he's
I
one.
like the Jaguars too. They're like one of those teams that when they came into the league, I was like, I can get behind these guys. You know, like I was even a bit of a Blake Bortles apologist for a while. I'm like, he's not that bad. He does pretty good. He was one of the few quarterbacks to do something in the playoffs. I can't remember that was really good, but I don't know.
Any of the games we really need to talk about?
Well, Purdy was perfect. Literally, he had like a 140 whatever perfect passer rating. First quarterback since Joe Montana for the 49ers to do that. 3 touchdowns, 336 yards on like 15 passes or some stupid shit like that. Right?
Yes. They are back to being my number one team once again. Back to being my number one.
They have way too much talent on the offensive side and the defensive side. But the offensive side wins them games. The defense doesn't seem to win them games. If the offense isn't clicking, they don't win.
But they don't. True. But I think the defense does enough.
The defense is very good, right? But if the offense doesn't click, the defense is going to have to go out and score 6 touchdowns, and they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Vikings lost to the Broncos, which
that was tough. Didn't see it coming. You know me.
Didn't see it coming.
And Dobbs we trust, and he let me down.
Yeah, I still don't think that Broncos team is very good, and I still don't think Sean Payton's that good of a coach. Just me. But then we had last night the Super Bowl rematch at Arrowhead Stadium.
Yeah, and
Eagles in Kansas City in the rain.
I hate the Eagles.
I know, but you picked the Eagles to win.
Yeah, because the Chiefs have no wide receivers, and I was proven right.
The Chiefs have no wide receivers.
They have no wide receivers.
I watched the first half of that game, and Kansas City was up in the first half. But Mahomes didn't look like he was throwing the ball the way he wanted to throw the ball. It looked like the ball was wet or something. It just didn't look like it had the zip or the zing or how he wanted to. But he was under pressure quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
The Eagles were chasing him all over the backfield. They didn't sack him a ton, but they chased him all over the place. And Mahomes under pressure, like
that's what he does best, though.
I saw some stats when he's in the pocket. He's like great when he's in the pocket, unpressured. He's great, but once you put that pressure on him, his completion percentage is cut in half. Like there's lots of things that happen, but he's great. And I think it's because he does those things that are like, whoa, he bounced it off his forehead. They call it the Pele pass or something like that, right? He intentionally bounced off his forehead. I can't believe it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he does those things, and so everybody forgets about the other stuff because he pulls the rabbit out of the hat. Nobody saw that he ruined 10 other hats along the way.
Oh, the prestige and all they're all dead. But his team, I think, dropped 5 passes. His wide receivers dropped 5 passes that game, including the one that probably would have wins the game for them.
Yeah.
Everyone does everything right. You beat your man. However you beat the man. First, Andy Reid has to call the right play.
Mm-hmm. Which he does 99% of the time.
Which he does. The offensive line has to block for him because it's a deep route to get you time, which they do. You have to bypass your man, which he does by a large amount. And Mahomes has to put the ball in a perfect position. The last thing that you have to do is do what you pay for, is catch the ball. And he failed miserably. He looked like me trying to catch that ball. The ball, like it hit his hands. He didn't need the ball. It was just bad. It was just not very good. And they have 3 losses. And 2 of them you could attribute to wide receivers missing wide open passes. Kadarius Toney did it week 1, and what's his name did it last night? Was it MVS or Scandry?
Yeah,
is that her?
Yeah, Marquez Valdez Scandling or whatever his name is.
Yeah, you could attribute those 2 losses to just drop passes.
That Kadarius Toney game still is remarkable.
He dropped 5 by himself almost.
I think he had like 5 drops and -3 yards receiving or something like that in that game. It was remarkable.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's they lead the league in drop passes, I believe. Any other people that lost that should have or won that should have? We don't really care about Dallas.
Dallas
Las
won. They
Vegas.
were supposed to win. Rams beat the Seahawks, which still doesn't hurt the Seahawks too much because they're still 6-4.
Mm-hmm.
Bills.
Gino got hurt.
Gino
Gino
got
was
hurt,
hurt and then
but
came back for the last
came back. Well,
drive.
he's just sitting on the sidelines and he's like, "Oh, Drew Lock, we need to win this game."
Yep.
So he went back in, and Pete Carroll said he should be fine for Thursday. The Bills won, and they needed to because if they didn't, they were in a bad spot. The Bengals lost,
Yes,
and
we
not
got to
only
talk about
lost,
that.
but they lost. They're done for the season because Joe Burrow is out for the season.
Yes. We said if they lost that game, they were pretty much done for the season if he would have played.
Yes,
But after the game, oh, definitely.
they're definitely
Done.
They're definitely
The schedule's too difficult. And who was the guy who they had as QB?
I don't know who his name is. Yeah.
No, but he was
Doesn't
not.
matter.
It doesn't matter. They're done.
The Browns win again. They beat the Steelers. This is the game that got Matt Canada fired. The Steelers mustered 10 points offensively. The Browns only mustered 13. So
did everything that they had to do to try to win that game. The defense did once again. Both defenses. We know that Cleveland is going to win with their defense. And Pittsburgh is going to win with their defense. And I expected nothing less than a 13-10 game. That's about right on par with the game that you'd expect from them.
Yep. And Kenny Pickett is proving to he's not even a game manager. He's not even like a good game manager. He just isn't good. He's not terrible. There's worse in the league, but he's not good. Chargers lost to the Packers. The Chargers, you can officially put a fork in them. They're 4-6 in the AFC. They're not going anywhere. Raiders lose. They're 5-6. You could pretty much put a fork in them too, but you never know. I just don't see it happening.
I'm not putting a fork in anyone until they're mathematically eliminated. I don't think the Giants have been mathematically eliminated just yet.
True. And then the beautiful horseman decided that he's going to play big boy football and pass to Calvin Ridley, who was sitting on my bench.
Oh, don't worry. Lawrence was sitting on mine.
Yeah. So he had a great game. Two touchdowns passing, 2 touchdowns rushing, I think. And then also, this last thing I'm gonna say about last week. Justin Fields played about as good of a game, probably his best professional game. Numbers wise, you look at it like, oh, he had 160 passing and 100 rushing. Only 1 touchdown, no interceptions. He had that fumble at the end there where he's trying to wait for something to happen, and his right tackle and the defensive end both ran into him at the end to finish off the game. But Justin Fields was pretty fantastic in the game. And God, I hope it matters.
It's almost to the point where I'm just wondering, where does he end up next year? Because it seems almost a foregone conclusion
I don't think
that the Bears are gonna go away from him. I don't think they should. I don't think it makes much sense at all. But if you have those high picks, someone's going to be in their ear saying maybe we should this isn't working. We should try another quarterback while we still have the chance. Because who knows when we get this opportunity again. That's the only thing I could see someone saying with both those high picks.
Yeah, so having high picks is never a good thing because it means you're bad unless you have someone else's pick. That's why I was really hoping the Bears were going to, even if it meant keeping their crappy-ass coaching staff, be good. That'd be fine. But no, we'll talk about drafts another day. I don't want to talk about drafts because that's like, there's still,
college football to be played.
College football to be played. 6 weeks of NFL to be played.
Yep.
It's far too soon to talk about drafts. And if you're a Bears fan, you've been hearing people talk about drafts since week 1, and I don't want to hear about it anymore. So what we should do then, really quick, is last week, for week 10, I got 10 right. You got 8 right. Week 11, you got 10 right. I got 8 right.
Bringing the total to 18 and 18.
We're tied. We need to go through our picks for this upcoming week because that's what people are really here for. That's what I'm here for, at least. We'll start with, we got Thanksgiving. This is such a crazy week of football. No one has a bye. There's a
Ooh,
full slate, 16 games. We have 3 on Thursday,
one
1
on
on
Friday.
Friday for the first ever Black Friday football. And then everything else, oh well, not everything
Nope,
else
got
because there's
like
still a
three on
Monday night game,
Yeah.
which is
Hmm.
the Bears. And then there's we'll talk about that when we get. Well, let's start with Thursday first game, which used to be why do the Lions always get a Thanksgiving game? Now
Yep.
it's like,
Ooh.
oh man, the Lions are Thanksgiving. They're they are 7.5 point favorites at home versus the dreaded, hated Green Bay Packers.
I don't know if they're hated. I
Oh,
don't
they are dreaded and hated.
know. I I've got the Lions. Yeah, I've got the Lions. Um, yeah, Packers. I'm still not sold on Love just yet. So we'll see. Oh, and they lost their running back for the season. They now have to go with Dylan.
AJ
Is
Dillon carrying
the
the
season.
workload. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm going to go with the Lions, and it's not just because I hate the Packers.
Okay. But that's always a
I
good
think the
reason to go with them.
Lions, there's an argument to be made that says that the Lions might be the best team in the NFC. Might be. There's an argument
Yes.
that if the argument was made, I'd be like, if you're persuasive enough, I'd say I will subscribe to your newsletter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can argue that.
There's an
I,
argument that can be made that even though the Packers have 4 wins, are bottom third of the NFL. I don't think that team is good. It just isn't there. I don't see it. Uh, I I have a feeling there's a chance that Jordan Love is murdered on the field um, by the Lions front four. I get the Lions, and I got the Lions covering and then some. I think the Lions win by 3 scores because I don't think the Packers can score against them.
The
That's
Packers
just me.
been scoring. I don't know how they do it. But they're not. I'm not saying that they're the Pittsburgh bad D offense, but yeah, when I see them score over 20 points, I'm like, okay, that's weird. But
It's always weird. Then we got the middle game. The 10.5 point favorite Dallas Cowboys, who always play on Thanksgiving, are taking on the straight off the embarrassment of Giants
Mhm.
game, Washington Commanders.
So, um, yeah, the Cowboys defense looks ridiculous. Um, and uh, I just don't see how they stop them. If the Giants get 6 turnovers on them with 3 to Howell, uh, Bland, their cornerback who has 4 touchdowns or pick sixes, he might get 2 this game.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Mm-hmm.
going Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm going Cowboys too. I don't think I need to expound upon that. They're
Nope.
just a far superior team. If we would have started this at the beginning of the year, and you can attest this because I said the Cowboys were probably the best team in the NFC, even over the Eagles. I still kind of think that if you made an argument that the Cowboys were the best team in the NFC, I'd be like, I can see it. I can see it. I like Dak Prescott, and I know people don't. I think he's good. CeeDee Lamb is the true number one wide receiver.
He's a
Tyler,
true no,
he's the true
he's a
number
number one.
one, and he's probably a top 5 receiver in the NFL.
Yep. Yep.
All right, and
I
that
thought they
defense.
had I thought they had the best off season this year. Last year, I thought it was the Eagles, and
Mm-hmm.
this year I said the Cowboys had the best off season.
Yep.
Getting Brandon Cooks, who they don't seem to be using, getting Stephon Gilmore was a really good pickup for them. Even though you may not see it on the stats, he's definitely helping them in his coverage in that defense, making it better. And remember, they lost their arguably their best DB for the year
Mm-hmm.
in preseason, or was it game one? I don't. It was early.
It was early. I mean,
And
people would argue that he might be one of the best DBs in the game. I don't think. I don't think
I heard an
he's a
arg-
turnover. He's a turnover guy. I don't know if he's the best coverage guy.
I
But
heard an argument for their cornerback Bland being defensive player of the year this year. They said like he's like he first of all his 4 touchdowns are amazing, his 4 pick sixes, but he also in coverage they don't get a lot of yards on him either. So
yeah, yeah. Well, there's probably a couple guys that could argue.
Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
TJ
So then the last game on Thursday, we have the Seahawks 6.5-point dogs hosting the 49ers. And Geno is supposed to play. There is the 12th man. Remember the 12th man. They're there.
Uh-huh. It doesn't matter. even though I'm going to say the 49ers, I can see a possibility of the Seahawks winning. It's a division game. They're playing it at Seattle. They play this team. If anyone knows them, it's going to be this team. So, yes, I'm going to say Seattle. I'm going to say the 49ers, but I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm going to go Seattle because they're at home.
Yep.
Seattle and the 49ers always beat up each other. Pete Carroll is a very good coach. Yep. Even if I think he's a bit of a douchey dude. Well, I don't even know if he is anymore. Like, he's growing on me. Like, I hated him coming out of USC. I was like, I thought he did USC.
All those players bad.
And all those players dirty, big time. But he's old. Takes off his shirt to recruit what's-his-face. You know, I mean, it's just whatever. Did you ever see this DK Metcalf when they had their
I did.
combine meeting with him? They took off his shirt to hang out with DK Metcalf.
The flex, yeah.
Like, all right. But I'm taking the Seahawks because I think Devin Witherspoon, the rookie cornerback, is going to play the difference against the he's going to snag a couple of those Brock Purdy, I'm going to chuck it up there and Debo's going to run underneath it, or Ayuk's going to run underneath it, or Kittle's going to run underneath it, or somebody's going to run underneath it, and somebody's going to post it online and be like, can your quarterback make this throw? I'm like, I can make that throw. He just kind of chucked it up there. I think Devin Witherspoon is gonna get a couple picks in there. I think it's gonna be a low scoring game, like 19-16.
Okay. 19-16 is not a bad score. I don't think it's a bad score. I got it the other way, but yeah, that's a really good score.
Then we got our first ever Black Friday football on Amazon Prime. Get all your top Amazon. Oh, how much is Al Michaels going to talk about Prime exclusive deals?
Oh, no. It'd be too late. You missed it already. Even though they'll say you haven't missed it just yet.
Yeah, you haven't missed it yet. Yeah, like in college football, we call this, Herb Street's going to talk about something college related. That's you can get ping pong balls that are on sale or whatever. But great.
Is that for beer pong? Is that that's what you're
going or for whatever you need ping pong balls for? You can get them for $3 a dozen right now on Amazon Prime. It's a lightning deal. We have the Jets hosting the Dolphins. The Dolphins are 9.5-point favorites as of this moment right now. The Jets, and this line came out after the Jets said, we're not starting Zach Wilson. We're starting.
You will never see him again.
We're starting Danny Boyle, director of trade spotting. I don't remember who it is. Boyle, Coyle, O'Doyle rules. I don't know. It's somebody.
Yeah. Oh. I don't. I want to say the 9.5 is definitely theirs. The Dolphins are gonna win. The Dolphins. That's without a doubt. But it's just a matter of, do the Jets look better without Wilson?
I don't think they can look worse, but I don't think it matters.
That they would have completely whiffed on 2 top 5 quarterbacks.
Oh, Zach Wilson was a whiff from the moment they called his name. And I think everybody knew it except for the Jets.
Mm-hmm. All right. So that leads us to
the Sunday lineup here. The Giants 3.5-point dogs at home versus the Patriots.
This is the Tommy DeVito love, because how are we dogs to the Patriots at home?
No, I don't know how anybody can be dogs to the Patriots right now, anywhere in space and time. The Patriots are not good.
The Patriots are coming off their bye week, and I always fear a team coming off their bye week playing the Giants, because they usually means they're going to win. They usually, and it's a Bill Belichick team, so someone will be prepared. Whether that's Mac Jones, I don't know. But
is Mac Jones their quarterback?
I don't know. It's another thing I don't know. I assumed that they were going to make the because because they benched him at the end of the last game,
and brought in
but then
Zappy.
who then immediately threw? Was it fumble? Was it fumble, or did he immediately
Who-
throw an interception?
It was ineffective, whatever it was.
So, but I'm not sure if that was the signal that they were going to get rid of him and Mac wasn't going to start anymore, or what. They had a whole week, 2 weeks now to prepare for the Giants. I'm still going to pick the Giants. I'll never pick the Patriots over the Giants. There's not a never, but this week, Tommy DeVito, he's shown that he can at least look like an NFL quarterback at some level, because the first couple games he didn't look like an NFL quarterback.
No.
So, and I'm a hope that they just ride Saquon Barkley till the wheels fall off again.
They need to.
I'm hoping he gets most of his numbers for his bonus money. I think he needed like 1,100 yards, and I looked at it today. He may get to 1,100. It's going to be tight. He needs a couple good games, but he needs that. He's not hitting the touchdown mark, but whatever.
So the Giants going into last week had like 110 points scored as a team through 10 weeks or whatever.
We were bad, abysmal.
And then they scored 31 last week, which is it's like a third of their entire point total going into last week.
Yeah.
I have one interest and one interest only in football right now, besides the Bears. It's the Panthers getting the first overall pick. And the best way for that to do that is other teams with low win totals have to win to separate themselves away from the Panthers. So that is why I'm taking the Patriots in this game.
Wait. Oh, because you need the Patriots.
I need the Patriots to win, because then they'll have 3 wins, and then there'll be 2 games, separating them and the Panthers, right? That's what I need to have happen. So, also, I don't know why the Patriots have not run out Malik Cunningham as their quarterback yet. There were 3 guys coming out of college that weren't like the top picks of the quarterback year.
Interesting
that I was intrigued in. Dorian Thompson-Robinson from UCLA, because he has a crazy like bazooka arm. Browns have him. He's playing because Watson got hurt. Tyson Bagent, because he was that weird D2 quarterback, and Dad was
arm wrestle.
Dad is the arm wrestling champion of the world. I'm like, this kid's interesting, and he looked okay at the combine. And then the Bears ended up taking him, and he played for me, and he actually was okay. And then there one was Malik Cunningham, another big arm, big leg Louisville quarterback. It's like, oh, maybe he's like Lamar. Patriots have him, won't use him. I can't tell if that's because they think he's not ready, or it's just because the Patriots just are inept offensively. Then we have the Falcons host, but they'll still beat the Giants and get their third win. Falcons are 1-point favorites hosting the Saints. This is like the mid bowl of all mid bowls right here.
This is a little lower than mid. This is bad.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be a fan of either one of these teams
to want to watch this game,
because you probably don't have any of the players on fantasy either. Like, to be perfectly honest,
Bijan maybe you might have Bijan Robinson,
maybe Olave for the Saints.
I have Kyle Pitts. I drafted Kyle Pitts this year because he was available in a keeper league. I'm like, well, I need a tight end.
I will pick. Wow, the Falcons are actually favored to win this game.
And this line came out after they announced that Desmond Ridder is going to be the starter for the Falcons for the rest of the season. But we got to check on Taylor Heineke's knee or whatever, right? So there's still a chance that Heineke might come back as a starter. But as of right now, Desmond Ridder is the starter for the remainder of the season for the Falcons. Unless Heineke makes a remarkable recovery.
I have to go Saints. They are the better team. I don't
know if
they are. I don't think it means anything. I've seen them lose to teams that they shouldn't have lost to.
Yeah.
So
I don't think the Saints are good. I think that entire division is the worst in football.
That's without a doubt.
I need the Falcons to win. I'm going Falcons.
You need them to win.
I don't. Only reason I need them to win is because I think they're another low win team in the. I need them to stay in that like
3 to 4 wins. You need that 2 win.
3 to 4, like that 5 to 6 win range, which will get them like between 9 and 13, which makes them another prime trade up candidate. It's usually like that right there is a first round swap, this year's second, next year's first, and either a player or the next year's first. Right? You're either giving up 3 to get up to that number 1 pick. That's a haul, and that's why I need them to be at, because they're going to be in the quarterback market. Then we have the Bengals are only 1-point dogs at home versus Steelers. I do not know who the Bengals quarterback is. I don't know. I'm sure he has a name. I'm sure he's a fine human being. I don't know who he is. The Steelers, I know who their quarterback is, and I'm sure he's a fine human being, but he's only mediocre at best.
But he's got somebody else.
Steelers. Like,
not just that, he's got somebody else calling the plays this time.
Yes, and I don't know who it is. It could be one of us. It could be like a mystery where every possession we're calling a random person in the United States to see what we should do.
They're doing Twitter polls at
yeah.
What play should we run?
Yeah, Twitch runs the Steelers offense. Like Twitch plays Pokemon. Twitch calls Steelers plays. Who do you got?
I have the Steelers. Defense, new quarterback out there, gonna look at the defense. I'm going to hope that whoever is calling the plays is better than Matt Canada.
Yeah, I got the Steelers too, and I got the Steelers covering that 1 point. I don't
the
think
1 point.
Yeah, it's only 1 point, even though they're on the road. It's a Cincinnati-Pittsburgh thing. Yeah, I think the Steelers win.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we have the Titans, the mighty Titans, the Will Levis-led Titans, 3.5-point dogs versus the mighty Carolina Panthers and Bryce Young.
Oh, man, I know who you have.
Yes. But it might not be the reason you think.
The reason I think you have the Titans is because you don't want the Panthers to win.
Oh, so it is the reason you think.
I just don't think the Panthers have enough to win a game the rest of the here on out. And they should. They should not want to give up the number 1 pick. If any losing team has a reason to win, it's them. I just don't think they're capable of it.
I don't think they're capable. We were talking earlier today about old man Thielen.
Oh my gosh.
But then I pulled up some stats, and he's actually been pretty effective as a receiver. Mm-hmm. However, he's a guy that it takes 6 seconds for him to get open because he has to run and wait for somebody to fall, right? Like, he's not fast enough anymore to make the cuts to get open. I have the Titans. I don't have them covering. Like, it's going to be 18-15 or something like that. I don't think the Panthers can score a touchdown.
No, they kick a lot of field goals.
Yeah, and I think the Titans, there's a good chance, though. I could really, like, if D-Hop went out there and caught some passes, I'd be happy with it.
But I have the Titans. Derrick Henry is absolutely not doing much this year.
No, and I think it's the reason I was going to say I think the Titans win is because I think Tajay Spears. I'm waiting for this kid to become the feature back. He is the future running back on that team. He's so fast. He's so shifty. I think he's just got to get NFL smart. Like, that speed and spotting the hole is just not there yet.
Knowing when to turn it on, when to slow it down. Yeah.
And once he does, he's gonna be crazy because he has a few runs every game where it's like, oh, he's gonna be good, and then he just doesn't do much after that. Then we have the Colts hosting the Bucks. Colts are 2.5-point favorites.
I'm gonna say
Gardner Minshew Colts. And the Colts just let go of Shaquille Leonard today. Their Pro Bowl linebacker.
They've seemed like a tanking team for the last 3-4 years. Like they just can't lose right, almost, I guess. Because I don't know if they've been trying to win from Ursay basically at the beginning, forcing Jonathan Taylor to basically sit out due to some injury. Um, I don't know what their plan is for that team. They went and got Richardson, which was not a bad step in the right direction, I think, but that's about it. That's about it.
But
So
I mean, he's been hurt all year though. Like
yeah.
he hurt his shoulder week 3 or whatever, right? So even if it was the most exciting pick they could have possibly made, which it was, super
Mm-hmm.
exciting. He came in and he was kind of crazy. It's like, oh, here's the flash of Anthony Richardson. Dude got hurt like 3 times in 3 games, and the last one put him out for the season, right? But they have been okay with Gardner Minshew because they have some decent offensive
Jonathan
players.
Taylor actually looks pretty good.
Jonathan Taylor.
He's consistent. He's very consistent.
They got young receivers that are pretty good. They got Pittman Jr. They got Alec Pierce from last year, and then
Mm-hmm.
they have Josh Downs, who was one of the guys in the before the draft. I was like, oh, he runs a nice route, but he wasn't like that the Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison player.
Top
It's like,
guys.
oh, he's
Yeah.
going to be a good second or third round guy coming out of UNC. So Colts are okay. Bucks are, I don't know. They're Baker Mayfield and guys.
They
I
to
don't think.
me, they're
But
the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are the definition of mid. They will not beat anyone above their stature. They can lose below their stature, but most of the time they're going to come out and win. So I'm going to give it to the Buccaneers because they have talent. I think they have a decent coach.
mhm.
They're just not great at any position except the wide receivers. I think they have really good wide receivers, but I I don't know. I was actually hoping. I don't hate Baker Mayfield as much. I was actually hoping he had a good revitalized career with the Buccaneers. And he might have been able
he,
to
he's been fine.
yeah, he's been
Baker
fine.
Mayfield has been fine. He was fine last year. He was fine the year before with the Browns. He's been fine. I think the Browns are forever cursed because of the way they treat the curse of Baker Mayfield. It'll be like the curse of the Gambino. If
For
nothing else
Baker
is
Mayfield because of the way they treated Baker.
if it's like the final nail in the curse coffin. Like there's so many curses on that franchise. Like the Deshaun Watson thing wasn't the final nail. It was the way they treated Baker Mayfield. All right, so here we go. Then I picked the Buccaneers too. It's the biggest game that it doesn't. I just can't say that I care one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I like Baker Mayfield. I think he'll be fine. I like Baker Mayfield. The reason I like Baker Mayfield, this is gonna sound stupid, is because of the Heisman House commercials. I find him kind of funny in them. So I think he's all right. So then we have the Texans hosting the Jags in a big divisional game. And
Big.
they're dogs. They're 1.5 dogs to the Jags.
I'm gonna tell you. I know this is the kiss of death. I'm picking the Jags. As much as I
Wow.
dislike Trevor Lawrence, it's gonna give me something to talk about when he absolutely fails me again. I gotta come back on Tuesday and talk about. I knew he was trash. I knew he was trash, but I'm going Jags. And like I said, I like CJ Stroud. I'm going Jags.
I'm going Texans because I'm going to ride the Texans until they ultimately disappoint me or I jinx them in the playoffs.
Oh,
Um, Plus, I like Tank Dell. The
yep.
man's name is Nathaniel, and he goes, "No, my name is Tank. Won't let you call him Nate or Nathaniel or anything else. He has to be called Tank. You can't go wrong with and his last name is Dell. So it's like the computer. It's like Del Curry. It's like
Dell. Wardell, yes.
yes, lots of different Dells out there. Wisconsin Dells. Lots of cool things. We have the Broncos. The biggest pretenders in football. The Broncos are 2.5-point favorites versus the forever cursed Browns in Denver.
The Broncos have won 3 in a row, 4 in a row,
3 or 4 in a row, yeah.
3 or 4 in a row. I don't think. Oh, Browns defense.
Russell Wilson gets sacked a lot. A
Yes.
lot.
Oh, I watched that game with my friends, and I swear he got up to the line, and every time he called an audible, pressure right up his face. Like he was not calling the right protections. Like every audible he called,
Reverse audibles.
they were just like almost sacking him. And I know Peyton was like, just run the damn play. Don't audible. Just the play I call, run that play. But I'm going Broncos.
Broncos. I'm going to go Browns. Only because I don't really have a reason. I like DTR. He was the guy I was saying earlier. I wanted to see him. He's gonna throw for 100 yards, probably run for 50. They're gonna score 15 to 18 points somehow, and they're gonna win because Russell Wilson is gonna get sacked like 75 times.
He will get sacked a few times.
Now we have the Cardinals with the return Kyler Murray, who's been pretty good so far the last 2 weeks, hosting the Rams, and the Cardinals are dogs, half-point dogs.
The Rams stink. I'm going Cardinals.
The Rams do stink, and I'm going Cardinals too because I need them to get their third win. I need them to get their third win. Plus, I like Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
We got the Raiders hosting the Kansas Cities. They are 9-point dogs.
Kansas City.
Patrick Mahomes is gonna be Mahomesian. And
it's never his fault the reason they lose.
And it won't be. And you know what? Change it. It's not going to be his fault when they lose this week either. They're going to have a 2-game losing streak because the Raiders are going to find a way to win because they are good at choosing interim coaches.
Wait. You got the Raiders beating the Kansas City Chiefs
in Las Vegas.
In Vegas. Yes. Because Antonio Pierce is there?
Because the Raiders are really good. They're not good at choosing head coaches. They're really good at choosing interim head coaches.
Okay. They're not like the Colts who picked Jeff Saturday out the
they're the opposite of that. Yes.
That's still an all-time blunder in my eyes.
It is one of the worst ever.
The man was on no team. He was probably coaching high school or elementary football, flag football. He was
coaching Pee Wee or something like that. Yeah.
Pee Wee football. That's the worst coaching move I've ever seen.
Had never coached before ever. Was Irsay's drinking buddy, and that was it.
Yep.
Oh well. Eagles, coming off of big win, are the 9-1 Eagles.
Yeah.
And I don't think they haven't felt like a 9-1 team all year.
Not like last year. Not like last year.
Last year, I thought it was like, oh man, they're gonna run
undefeated. Yeah. They look like they were undefeated team.
This year they feel like they have like vulnerabilities, maybe, but they just don't result in losses. The 9-1 Eagles are 3.5-point favorites, and they host the Bills. The Bills were a team last week where we said if they lose, it's gonna be rough sailing to the playoffs. They won in convincing fashion. Yeah. And the Jets have a good defense, and they beat them up. They bullied them the entire game.
Yeah, and I want to say the Bills. I do. The Eagles just have not looked like themselves. They've won, but they haven't looked like themselves. I'm going to say Bills. I don't think this is the game that they looked like themselves. And yeah, I just don't. I don't think.
I am also going to go Bills, and here's why. Eagles give up lots of passing yardage.
Yes.
Every week.
Yes.
Josh Allen likes to get lots of passing yardage. That's like his thing. He's like, I love getting passing yardage, and I'm going to throw it.
He likes to pass the ball to the other team too. That's also one of his things.
Yeah, but usually it's bouncing off of something like a helmet or a hands, or sometimes it just sails into their hands too. But I like Josh Allen. I think in my older age, I found myself being like, I like that team. I like that guy. I don't hate as much as I used to. I don't hate the Eagles. I don't hate the Bills. I particularly like the Bills. And usually when I choose the Bills as my like secondary team, because being a Bears fan, you have to choose a secondary team, because otherwise you will lose interest quick in the NFL season. This year I didn't choose the Bills. I chose the Ravens. So sorry, Baltimore fans. I ruined your team. I got the Bills in this one. Chargers hosting the Ravens. Chargers are 3.5-point dogs.
Yeah, they're gonna need every bit of those 3.5 points. I'm going Ravens. Ravens. That was, you said that was your second team, so it's almost a given that's the team you're gonna go for.
Yeah, I gotta go for the Ravens. Well, I just they're the better team than the Chargers for sure.
Yeah.
Even with the
They're
travel,
starting to get hot too.
yeah, they are.
They're playing better.
Now
The
Mark
wide
Andrews
receivers
is
are getting
out
better.
for the season, with the
And that's
possibility of returning if they go deep into the playoffs. But that's like
They can
that's
go
like
deep,
Aaron
though.
Rodgers possibly returning next
He's
week.
not.
It's just not.
They said
happening.
he's 2 weeks away from practicing, is what I read today. I'm like, that's not happening.
Not happening. Because the Jets are going to be out of it, and then it's going to be like, what's the point?
That's the whole point of him doing it, to seem like, to give them hope, to give the fans hope. But they'll be out of it. They will.
Plus, I don't know if he knows about Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't like people not talking about him.
I've got that. I've picked that up.
Yeah. So I'm going Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. And then finally, Monday night in the great white north of the Twin Cities, the Vikings, 3.5-point favorites, host the beloved Chicago Bears.
I've been trusting in Dobbs. Can't stop now.
Can't
I don't
stop,
know.
won't stop.
I
Justin
don't know
Jefferson
when
might be back for that game.
Yeah, then definitely. Even though Dobbs is going to pretend to throw it to him and then run for a first down, I don't like it. He's been doing. I've got 2 guys on my fantasy team on the Vikings, and since Dobbs has come there, they have both been useless.
Yeah.
So,
I think the Vikings are an okay team. Surprisingly okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Josh Dobbs story is a nice one. I think it makes everybody feel all warm and fuzzy because here comes this guy whose face is too small for his head. He comes in, he gets to be a quarterback, and what his stories travel all over the place. Wins some games. I also think that I can't go against my Bears because even if I know that there's a strong chance they're going to lose, the same situation as last week. They're on the road, a division rival, should lose. Justin Fields is playing good football. He's playing good football before he got hurt. He got hurt against the Vikings in Chicago. Now the Vikings, they run this defensive scheme where they blitz 100% of the time, which the Bears are not good at protecting against.
Okay.
But on the flip side, unlike Kirk Cousins, Josh Dobbs is not the master at the 10-yard intermediate pass to open wide receivers. He's just not that guy. Kirk Cousins picks apart the Bears every time they play him, and it's just 10-yard pass, 10-yard pass, 10-yard pass, 10-yard pass, touchdown. I don't think Josh Dobbs can do that. I think the Bears' defense is getting better. Just like last week, I think there's a chance for the surprise and the upset. Legitimate. I'm not just saying, I think the Bears are going to win because I'm a Bears fan. I think the Bears have a legitimate chance. It's inside. It's Monday night. The Bears, the last couple times they've played prime time, have looked really good. Granted, it was against like the Commanders and whoever else. I think the Bears do it. I think the Bears, this is the win that the Bears should have had last week, and it would be 3 in a row if the coaching staff knew how to coach a game. So I think the Bears have to get a big fast, and not like big fast like against the Broncos when they blew it. It's like they got to be up by 7 scores at halftime, and I think they're going to do it.
Oh, not the 7 scores. Okay.
The 7 scores at halftime. Justin Fields has 406 yards passing in half, which is 100 yards more than he's ever had passing in a game, and 100 yards rushing. He's got like 500 yards of offense in the first half, and the Bears go up 7 scores, 49-0 at half. But then the Vikings last year, remember when they were losing to the Colts by like 4 scores with a quarter left, and they won that game?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, anything's gonna happen, but it's the Bears this week. We'll see what happens.
In a quick check, do you know that the Giants? Wait, never mind. Before I say this, yeah, it doesn't matter. The Giants have the don't have the worst points scored in the league.
Oh,
It's
are we gonna guess who it is now?
you
I,
could guess,
I don't know who it
but
is, but I'm gonna throw it out there. It's the Patriots.
it is the Patriots. But the Giants have played an entire game ahead of the Patriots,
One
and
game more than the Patriots.
they're only 8 points higher than the Patriots.
Wow. So when the Patriots win by 9 this week,
I don't think that's gonna happen. You, I,
we'll
I
see.
was looking at the records to see who had 3 wins and 2 wins. Tennessee's at 3,
Hmm?
New England's at 2, New York is at 3, Bears at 3, Panthers 1, Arizona 2.
I just need the 3 wins because I think there's a chance the Panthers could like
Get
surprise
one.
somebody. Like, oh, surprise Baker Mayfield and the Bucks. We just won 9-7, right? Like it's possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
it's possible.
I just need to make sure that nobody else has 2 wins because that Panthers team is really bad.
Yeah, Tennessee, Tampa Bay, New Orleans, Atlanta, Green Bay, Jacksonville, Tampa Bay. They technically none of those teams are world beaters, so they're all pretty winnable.
Yeah,
I still don't see them winning them.
I think I saw something where like the possibility of Carolina not or having the being in the first draft slot and giving it to the Bears was at like 50 something percent. Like there's a 50% chance, which is better than the NBA lottery,
Yeah. Yep.
which is better than just about anything. Like so, sitting right now, the Bears have a coin toss of getting the number 1 pick, just from that pick alone. They also have like a 7 or 8% chance of getting it from their pick, right? So that puts the Bears at like almost a 2/3 chance of getting the first pick this season again.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
if the Bears get it from their pick, that means they got the 1 and the 2 because they somehow the Panthers snuck in some wins there. The Bears lose out.
Man, I don't know what would be worse. I think if y'all get the first pick because of your pick,
That would be
oh
the worst.
man,
That would be terrible.
that'd be horrible.
That would be the
That would
worst
be
thing ever.
horrible. Man.
I would be so terribly disappointed, sad that happened.
Oh man, this is fun. I'm glad this is therapy. This is therapy. And I'm glad all of you fans. How many people do we have going viewing today?
Including us right now?
Yes.
2.
Hey.
We're watching ourselves. That's okay.
That's all right. That's all right. So yeah,
you know what? We get weird random downloads every week from like I haven't
from
promoted
bots.
it at all.
From bots.
I
just
haven't downloaded it, and we got
I
like
haven't either.
10 downloads an episode. So
Oh yes.
don't know how that's
Moving
happening.
up. Moving
It's more
up.
than other podcasts I've been on for multiple years.
Oh man, once we start getting some promoting it, once we get our feet wet, if we'll be there. We'll be there.
I didn't want to promote
Like
last
it.
week because I screwed up the stream, and I had the monitor on so I could hear myself talking, but then also went out into the feed, into the stream.
Oh.
So it wasn't in the podcast, but it was in the stream where I was like,
Double talking.
I was in like a marble chamber when I was talking to you because it was like a quick, really quick double echo or whatever.
Ah,
I got that fixed this week, I'm sure, until I go and check the feed afterwards,
Check it.
and there's no audio, right? Oh, I fixed it.
oh man.
All right.
But yeah, another successful therapeutic podcast.
Therapy, yeah, it is. It's Bears Giants therapy.
It is.
That's about it.
I think everyone. I think all bad teams should have a podcast. The fans should just have a podcast to talk about how bad things are going.
And it's not a podcast where we're trying to fix either team.
No.
We're not like, this is what the Bears need to do. This is what the Giants need to do.
I have no clue.
Why is this stuff happening? No.
I have no clue. It's just us as fans just talking about how heartbreaking it is to be fans. I don't think it works if we're constantly winning. Could you imagine listening to us if we're the Patriots a couple of years ago when they were winning everything? It'd just be boring to live. Oh yeah, Tom went out there and scored 400. It's like, oh, shut up. No one wants to hear you.
You know, well, let's talk Patriots fandom for just a real quick, and then
Of
this will be where
course.
we fade out on. Those assholes spend so much time arguing about stuff like Wes Welker should be a Hall of Famer. Right? That was their level of drama they had for 20 years.
20 years. 20 years.
They also had a guy murder people, though, too. So,
Oh.
I don't know. I guess you take the good and the bad. We won 6 Super Bowls. Yes. We had a guy commit homicide, like multiple homicides.
Yep. I guess that's, like you said, you take the good, you take the bad. They'll pretend like that never happened, but the 6 championships is
they won't talk about Aaron Hernandez.
Cemented.
He's like Voldemort. They don't mention that name.
But yeah, I'm no. Their fanhood. I'm so happy to watch them lose, and I don't want them. It's just to hear some of them speak. Like, they just assume that quarterback falls out of the trees. Like, it's just like and I was waiting for this. I've been waiting for this. I was like, when it happens, they're going to be bad for so long, and they couldn't believe it. They thought they were just going to rinse and repeat. Mac Jones is coming back in. He's going to be the second coming of Tom Brady, and we're going to win all this. And they stink.
And when it wasn't Mac Jones, it's like, it's Bailey Zappi. Bailey Zappi. We just had the magic touch in New England. We got this guy because he had one half where it's like most people were like, who? Like the defensive coordinator on the other side was like going to page 7 of the depth chart trying to figure out who this quarterback
was.
Do
we have any tape on this guy? Nope.
Zappi, where did he even go to? No one knew where he went to school at. It was like, where did he go to school at? Iowa State? Yeah. No.
And yeah, they were all over him, calling in like, Mac, well, even if he's healthy, he shouldn't come back because we've got Bailey Zappi now. And they're like, "Oh, you guys stupid? I think you guys are stupid." Like, I think that's when they started realizing how dumb their own fans were. Sorry, Patriots fans. I don't mean to call you dumb, but you're dumb.
I think the moment Patriots fandom realized that maybe something wasn't right, it's when they lost to the Bears last year on Sunday Night Football or whatever it was, and the Bears came in and they put up like 38 on them. Mac Jones got benched. Zappi came in, then he got benched, and Mac Jones got put back out there. It was the last time the Bears won last year. It was the Bears' third win. The Bears were 3-5 after that game.
Yeah.
They went and traded for Chase Claypool. Like, we need a second. We need a wide receiver.
Then y'all went on a whole year-long losing streak.
It was almost a full an entire calendar year. Yes. Yeah. And Chase Claypool was traded. I don't think he miraculously, they were able to get something back for Chase Claypool. And he, you know how many receptions he has in Miami? I believe 2. You know how many penalties he's had?
Oh, no.
I want to say it's like 5 or 6. And it's like false starts, illegal formations. He screws everything up. Like, he's the worst thing that could possibly happen to the Dolphins. I don't know what they were thinking when they traded for him. I think Mike McDaniels has that, like,
I'll make it right. I can fix you.
I can fix him.
He looks at his 40 time and go, I can do something with that.
What is he, 6'6"? That's what the Bears thought. Like, he's like 6'4", and he can jump and he can run. Figure it out. With a name like Chase and Claypool.
Both powerful names.
Yeah. Chase. Listen, there is a Paw Patrol member named Chase. There is an action that you do called chasing.
And it has to do with running, and running is a key important part of football.
We got the Paw Patrol, we got the action, we got Claypools. I mean, there's nothing wrong with anything in there except for the fact that he's from Canada.
Oh.
He's Canadian. Did you know
they should
that?
have looked into
Claypool's
that.
Canadian.
Didn't know
He's
that.
a Notre Dame wide receiver, and
Hmm.
they haven't been good since Tim Brown and Rocket Ishmael, and that was in the 80s.
They had a year when they came in second with
Not wide receiver wise.
no, not wide receiver wise. No. Amon Ra?
No, I don't think he's.
One of them went to
Oh, did Sun God go to Notre Dame? I don't think so. College, South California, USC.
South Carolina. Okay. One of them.
Equimanius. I don't even know how to spell Equimanius.
I got it. He went to Notre Dame. He's the one who went to Notre Dame. That's the one. Well, the Bears guy.
He's the lesser of the two St. Brown brothers. Nothing wrong with it. He's a fine receiver. He's a good blocking receiver.
Yeah.
But I'd rather have if you said, all right, you get one of the St. Brown brothers for your wide receiver, or which one are you choosing? You're taking Amon Ra 100 times out of 100.
Yes, I remember oh yeah, I remember the name St. Brown on it. I couldn't remember which one was it. Yeah,
that's all right. I'm gonna stop streaming.
All right.